Thank you so much, everyone. As Jonas said, I'm Christopher Davis. I'm DOE's Chief of Staff. I have the amazing privilege of working for Secretary Jennifer Granholm. You'll have the privilege of hearing from her tomorrow. In the meantime, when you hear from a Chief of Staff, you get some of the message of the Secretary, but none of the poise and charisma, so I apologize for that. Bear with me for a moment. The Secretary's driven the Department of Energy to dig deep and to rise to the challenge of the moment, to execute programs on a scale that we've never done before, to meet the moment of onshoring clean energy manufacturing in our energy supply chain, competing for that $23 trillion global market of clean technology, and meeting the President's climate goals. One way to think about how the government takes on big challenges is the pairing of policymaking and implementation. Policymaking gets a lot of attention. It can be fast-paced and exciting. Think of the gamesmanship with Congress, the policy horse trading, legislative vote counting, bill signings and ceremonies. It's really catnip for those of us here in DC. In comparison, the implementation part of it really gets short shrift. It involves much of the less sexy work like drafting Federal Register notices and requests for proposals, wrangling hordes of merit reviewers, doing loan underwriting, turning tax code into guidelines and tax forms that make them usable, and 1,001 other really unglorious tasks. In other words, implementation is a slog. But without it, the laws that get passed just stay words on paper. No one knows the importance of implementation and good implementation better than John Podesta. He's the ultimate practitioner. It's notable that he rejoined the White House after the President's signatures laws had been passed. And that's because John knows that getting implementation right is how you make change that stands the test of time. It's what leads to sustainable momentum for your industries. And I'm proud to say that under John's leadership, we've gotten it right. The strong implementation of the last several years is what transforms words on paper, those laws, into steel in the ground, into good jobs in disadvantaged communities, grid resilience in communities affected by natural disasters, increased efficiency and cost savings in factories, community centers, schools, businesses, and homes, and the onshoring of supply chains. And John has guided us every step of the way to make sure that this momentum grows and grows. I'm pleased to welcome John Podesta, who needs no introduction, but a huge debt of our gratitude. John.
Well, thanks so much, Christopher, and I want to thank you for an extraordinary 4 years of leadership at the Department of Energy. While this might get me in trouble with my friend Ernie Moniz, I have to give a special shout out to the best Secretary of Energy ever, Jennifer Granholm. The Secretary and her team have transformed the department into a commercialization and deployment powerhouse. You've built new offices and programs at a historic pace and committed over $95 billion from the Inflation Reduction Act and the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. And you've put DOE at the center of President Biden and Vice President Harris's industrial strategy. 4 years ago, President Biden and Vice President Harris came into office knowing that in order to build our economy back stronger than before, bolster our national security, and tackle the climate crisis, we had to do things differently. For too long, we've gotten too good at stopping things in America. Our administration focused on building things again, and that's exactly what happened thanks to a strategy that was government-enabled, but make no mistake, private sector-led. Since President Biden took office, the private sector has announced more than $1 trillion in new investments. Half of that is in clean energy alone. New battery factories in Tennessee and Georgia, Pennsylvania, new solar manufacturing from Nevada to Texas to Ohio, nuclear plants coming back to life like Holtec Palisades in Michigan thanks to an LPO loan. On the ground, you can look up and see more than 900 new clean energy factories that are being built across America, north, south, east, west. And millions of Americans who will see new investments and new opportunities come into their communities in the months and years ahead. We know that our Investing in America agenda helped spur that clean energy boom. More than 2 years after President Biden signed the Inflation Reduction Act, Treasury guidance is available on 21 of the 24 tax credit provisions, providing clarity and certainty to your industries so you can plan ahead, you can build big, and you can put money to work. We, by the way, plan to get more done by the end of this month. On the grant side of the law, we've now awarded more than $100 billion in IRA funds, including nearly $6 billion through DOE's Industrial Demonstrations Program to equip new industrial plants to lead the net zero economy. On top of that, Jigger and the entire LPO team have done an incredible job standing up world-class operation that is financing the future and financing the future of clean energy in America. They've gotten an incredible suite of transactions out the door and will continue to do so for the next month and a half. We're proud of everything that DOE and our entire administration has gotten done over these last 4 years, but we know, we read the papers, we know that the next 4 years will bring a lot more uncertainty to federal clean energy policy. But believe me, this is not the end of our fight for a cleaner, safer planet. It's far from it. There's tremendous momentum behind building a clean, sustainable economy. Maybe one measure of that is the growth of this conference itself, more than 3 times as many attendees as there were here last year. And there's a reason why. Because facts are still facts, science is still science. This fight is bigger than one election or one political cycle. You know better than most that clean energy has become bipartisan in the United States. 57% of the new clean energy jobs created since the Inflation Reduction Act passed are located in congressional districts represented by Republicans. Those jobs come from new clean energy projects totaling $286 billion in investment. Many Republicans, particularly governors, who I've met with over my tenure coming back to the White House, know all this activity is a good thing for their states. The members of Congress know it's a good thing for their districts, and it's a good thing for the American economy. Republican governors have welcomed clean energy investments in their states for many years, from the EV supply chain to the solar supply chain. And earlier this year, 18 House Republicans wrote a letter to Speaker Mike Johnson urging him not to repeal the IRA's energy tax credits. The letter says, I'm quoting, "A full repeal would create a worst-case scenario where we would have spent billions of taxpayer dollars and received next to nothing in return." It's precisely because the IRA has staying power that I'm confident that the United States will continue to reduce emissions going forward, benefiting our own country and benefiting the entire world. The economics of clean energy transition have simply taken over. New power generation is going to be clean. The desire to build our next generation nuclear is still there. The hyperscalers are still committed to powering the future with clean energy. The auto companies are still investing in electrification and hybridization. All those trends are not going to be reversed. Are we facing some new headwinds? Absolutely. But will we revert back to the energy system of the 1950s? No way. The clean energy transition will keep going. Innovation is going to keep happening. the prices of clean technologies will keep dropping, and the need to compete with the rest of the world as they move full steam ahead on clean energy is going to only increase and increase and increase. Now it's up to you, America's clean energy entrepreneurs and clean energy companies, to lead that transition, to keep taking advantage of the Biden-Harris clean energy policies. Use your voices to defend the IRA especially. Don't assume that politicians know what you're doing to create jobs and economic opportunity, or how the IRA help make that happen. You have to tell that story. We need you to keep investing and making big, bold, long-term plans for what we want our energy future to look like. We need to keep innovating. We need you to keep innovating and showing the world that America leads with big ideas. We need Jigger to keep shoveling money out the door right up until January 20th. No one can reverse the momentum that we've created together. We're counting on you to carry this work forward for the sake of your businesses, for the sake of the communities you've invested in, for the sake of the American people, of our economy, our security, our young people, and our planet. Thank you for what you're doing. Just keep doing it. Do it faster. Do more of it. And we'll all be better off. Thank you.